All right, and we are live for the OGs here on the channel. I'm talking like several months ago, maybe even a year at this point. It's been since we've had Coach K on the podcast, and now I'm not talking about Mike. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. I'm not going to butcher it. But the Duke head coach, I'm talking about Coach Kronic, Coach K, the real Coach K,
the real Coach K. Oh shit,
Karon, what's going on? I'm excited to have you on.
Hey man, I'm excited to be here. I'm good, man. Life is good. Life is real good. Yeah, I am not the real Coach K. I got a lot to live up to
man.
that dude. But
I don't know. I'm excited to get this going. And if you guys are on here, now we got 2 people watching right now. As you guys come on, make sure you guys share the link on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever you can share it. Go ahead and share it. Karan's super knowledgeable. I know I'm about to learn some because I honestly haven't dove too much into flowability, so I know I'm about to have my mind blown right now. So anyone who's watching this, definitely go ahead and share. And if you haven't already, check out this URL, hoopsquiz.com, to take a quiz and find out what is the number one mistake that's holding you back on the basketball court right now. But we'll talk about that later. For now, I'm excited to dive into this episode. And Karan, as we're getting started, for anyone who may not know who you are yet, maybe they're not a real OG, they haven't seen any episodes or any of the episodes, give them an idea of who you are and what it is that you do.
Sure. My name is Karon Hawkins. I go by Coach Kronic as my persona. I'm an online coach, an independent personal trainer in person and on the digital space, obviously. I'm from New York City, born and raised, Queens, New York. I'm currently residing in Pittsburgh, PA. Go Pirates, go Steelers. But I'm actually I go both ways because I'm a Steelers fan when I'm in Pittsburgh. Everywhere else, I'm a Giants fan.
But you got to be a Knicks fan, don't you?
Oh,
that sucks.
I'm not a Knicks fan.
I guess you could be a Sixers fan.
Nope, I'm not a Sixers fan either. I'm actually I'll go back and forth. I used to be a hardcore Celtics fan because I went to yeah, I know. I went to boarding school in Massachusetts, and okay. I started in 2007, like when they had that fucking. Ooh, can I swear on here?
Oh yeah, go for it. It's okay. Fine. I mean, like, don't go crazy with it, but I mean,
yeah. Sorry,
I mean, here and there. It's cool.
You know how I am. I swear a lot. But I can tone it down. But they had that crazy dynasty team. You know what I'm saying? Like Rondo, Allen, KG, Pierce. Like that was the team, man. That's when I was a big Celtics fan. But anyway, so yeah, I live in Pittsburgh right now. Obviously, I'm doing a lot more online coaching than in person these days. But I work with crazy variety of clients. I'm working with a UFC fighter. I'm working with some CEOs. I'm working with mom and pops. I'm working with old, young athletes. Celebrities. Like it's cool. But yeah, I mean,
for sure,
that's me.
Got you. So now tell me a little bit more about how you transitioned into exactly what it is that you're doing right now. Because I know you kind of went through an evolution over the past year or so, transitioning from focusing on mobility to a sort of modality called flowability. So walk me through what that transition was like. Or first of all, give us like a general overview of what exactly flowability is, and then kind of what prompted that transition from focusing on mobility to flowability.
Okay, got you. So I've been working on this single liner sentence. Hopefully it makes sense. So the idea behind flowability is residual postural change through reprogramming biomechanics. So that's like the creme de la creme. Like that's like, you know what I'm saying? Like the top stars, like what I'm shooting for. From an athlete's perspective, biomechanics is incredibly important. And essentially biomechanics is how we get from point A to point B, how muscles, joints, connective tissues, etc., interact to accomplish motions in life. Not even just from sports, but just like how I'm moving my head or moving my arms, my wrists. So obviously, I mean, your background, if I'm like this, or if I'm shooting, if I'm throwing, anything, it's all biomechanics related. And flowability is trying to increase the efficiency to which your brain recruits muscles to move the joints to accomplish a motion, so that one area of your body isn't doing too much and one area isn't doing too little. What's the most common complaints that we hear with basketball players?
Damn, let me think. In terms of aches and pains, definitely jumper's knee is one of them.
Knees and ankles.
Yeah,
it's the biggest issue.
I forget ankles. I rolled my ankle so many times. The same damn ankle every single time.
Bro,
once you roll it once, it's over.
It's over. It just happens over and over again. I've rolled my ankle like each of them 7-8 times. I mean, I haven't rolled my ankle in a long time, but when I hooped a lot, that's all I did was just roll them. It wouldn't even be like my fault. It wouldn't be like I was trying to do some crazy move and just like, oh crap, I fell on myself. How do you usually get it? You're going up for a rebound and some guy is under you and you land on his foot. That's how you roll your ankle when you hoop.
Yeah.
That's how it always happens.
Or you're just running and you just like misstep and it just goes out. Like I remember the first time I rolled this one pretty bad was I drove and I forget what I even did. I think I just tried to like plant and stop and I didn't even step on anyone. I don't think it just rolled. I don't know what happened. That messed it up bad. And then since then rolled that same one, I think 2 more times, neither of which were as bad, but one of them was literally just like at a YMCA pickup game playing against like 40-year-old guys, and like I just ran down the court, no one around me, rolls it. But yeah, it's definitely super common for sure.
Mm-hmm. I mean, re-injury is very common once you injure something like an ankle or a toe or a foot, because I mean we use it so often.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless you're on crutches or something like that, it's hard to avoid using it. So, but anyway, so Flowbility, we are creating a system that is, again, optimizing how your brain grabs muscles to move joints to accomplish these everyday, but also obviously sports specific motions. We work with a lot of athletes. So,
got you. So, the next question off of that would be where does that differ from like traditional mobility stuff? Because I'm not super well versed in just like regular like mobility, for lack of a better term, sort of stuff anyway. So I'm curious as to where the differentiation is between what you're doing now and maybe what you were doing a year or 2 years ago.
Yeah. By the way, I meant to say this little backdrop thing with the sliding text is super cool. And you got your logo on the top, right? You got a cool little background.
I'm trying, man. I was telling you before we started recording, I gotta make up for this crappy lighting. I'm trying to. That's the next thing. I gotta fix that. But thank you. I appreciate it.
No doubt, bro. It looks sick. So, yeah, I think to paint the picture of how we're different than everybody else would be best if I kind of told a bit about how I got there. That's a good point. So. I started, like everybody, I did HIIT for a while. I did Insanity. That was like my first big game changer where I made crazy changes to my body. Don't recommend it for really anyone. Insanity just destroyed my body. But
I did that in like 8th grade.
yeah. But I mean, it taught me a lot about my body.
Crazy.
Too, so,
for sure. It got me started.
Yeah. There's ups and downs to everything. But anyway, so I did that and I started lifting with Insanity. So I would do Insanity for like an hour, then lift for 2 hours. And then, it was just insane. I had an 8-pack. I was super ripped, super jacked.
Yeah.
But, I was in pain, just a lot of pain, knee pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, ankle pain, just everything was hurting. And I was like 22 years old. It made no sense. But I mean, I was running my body to the ground. I wasn't, from a nutrition perspective, I was pretty clean. And we all hate that word, but I didn't really track macros. I just ate clean. You know what I mean? I was probably not eating enough, to be honest. And at that point, when I started having the pain, I looked into more mobility and just started stretching every day. It's okay. Didn't really make much change. Fast forward a couple of years, I found Supple Leopard by Kelly Starrett. And I started digging into that, getting into some rolling, lacrosse ball stuff, some manipulations, joint band distraction, shit like that. Again, decent, but not enough. Fast forward some more. I jumped into a program, or you could call it a program, but it's basically a concept called FRC. It's called Functional Range Conditioning, in which they look at things at a joint by joint approach where, let's see what your wrist can do, what your elbow can do, what your shoulder can do, what your neck can do, what your upper back can do, and they rotate all the joints one by one as a test of the functionality and thereby capacity of the joint. How much can that one joint specifically take load with, and how do we, increase the capacity, or how can we strengthen that joint so it's not susceptible as much to injury? So it's a lot of injury mitigation. You can't really prevent injury. That's not really a thing. Because, as you said, you can just be playing hoop with some 40-year-olds and just roll your ankle out of nowhere. It's like, how the hell? Yeah. And you can have super jacked ankles. So, I mean, it's all about injury mitigation. But anyway, so that worked for some time, but I still felt like this. I still felt small. Like I couldn't, I wasn't open. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't getting the length I needed to actually be stable in many senses of the word. So I did a podcast with the creator of Flability. His name is Jordan Etner. Go follow him on Instagram at Flability. He kind of convinced me, not even trying to. He just talked about the system, and I was like, screw it. I hired him, and I loved it. First month, I tried to do everything. I was lifting, I was doing FRC, I was doing everything. You know what I mean? Kind of intertwining everything. Got some results, was feeling better. I kind of struggled with back pain for a long time. It was on and off. Sometimes it'd be really bad. Sometimes it'd just kind of be there, like achy. My knees were bad, from jumper's knee I had to, from running and playing hoops and, just on all these things. I was also a dancer. I'm still a dancer, but I was professionally dancing for a bit. So lots of gigs and late night practices. So, a lot of activity that was compiling over years. And I was feeling some benefits, some results, but it wasn't enough. So I tested it. He's like, bro, you don't need any of that shit. You don't need FRC. You don't need any of that shit. And I was like, what? I was like, okay. And this was, he doesn't recommend this to everybody, and we don't recommend this to everybody. We want people to kind of just ease in their own way. But I think he saw something in me, and he saw potential to be what I am today. And so he just kind of, so just a little jab here or there. He would question me every time, be like, all right, so tell me why this is good. Tell me why it's great. Tell me, show me. Yeah. And, in time I tested it. I was like, all right, for a month, I'm not going to do anything but Flability. My results just skyrocket. It was like, what? Really? Out of nowhere, I could rotate my shoulder like it was nobody's business. I could, you know what I mean? I could do things with my spine. I could get crazy protraction and reach through here. I was running faster. My gait looked better. It was crazy. So I was like, screw it. I'll just keep going. So, come today, if you go look at my Instagram, I look like a different person. I have a bunch of before and after pictures, and it just looks like a different person. So I chose Flability because it was the only thing that actually changed my structure. Like I'm changing my bone structure. Like I'm not just getting muscle or, you know what I mean? Like I'm changing my bone structure, how my bones sit in space, how my joints sit in space. Yeah. There's nothing on the planet that is doing that except for us. For sure, obviously lifting weights breaks down bones and builds them back stronger. So bone density is increasing. However, how the joints stack in space and how those muscles that are moving the joints, because muscles move joints, how those muscles are moving the joints, that process is not being looked at closely. And we look at that process. And, that's how we really make super crazy change.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, that's super interesting. How do you go about convincing someone who is kind of like kind of in the position that you were, but maybe not as open-minded, like kind of half in, half out, like kind of doing it, kind of not? Like, how do you convince them to actually fully buy in? Because I know, for me, if I was like going to completely give up lifting or completely give up certain things that you've been like taught work, it's like, damn, do I really want to do that? And like maybe even just from a comfort standpoint, like I enjoy lifting. Like, why would I give that up to only do this? How do you go about convincing someone on that?
We don't.
Valid.
It's as simple as that. We don't. Like you know what I mean? Because everybody has their own road. Like I said, Jordan would challenge me because he saw something in me, and he was like, "Bro, you're a smart dude, and I know that you're smart. Yeah. So I'm gonna just let you do your thing. I know you think critically. So he would just like give me questions and be like, go think about that. And I would think about it. I would ponder on it. I was like, wait, what? Oh shit. because he was able to do
Yeah.
everything that I wanted to do with my body, and he didn't practice FRC at all. Never did a rotation, a car, pails and rails, none of that shit. And he was doing everything. He was doing everything that I wanted to do, but he never practiced any of the things that I was doing. So it just the two just didn't make sense. So for me, when I stopped I haven't lifted a weight in 8 months. 8 months.
No,
8 months.
Yeah,
I haven't touched one. Not one. And when I post some of the before and after pictures, people ask me like, they DM like, are you rowing more? Are you doing more pull-ups? Like, how are your lats so big? I don't know. I just do full belly. Like I could explain it to them, but the short answer is I do flow. I don't lift. And it's not like I don't want to. Like I want to lift. I do miss lifting. But I love my new spine better. So
yeah.
So I mean, and I can go on. I went on a hike last weekend, and it was like crazy uphill, downhill, rocks everywhere, and we were jumping and hopping. No knee pain, no back pain. I haven't had low back pain, and I don't know the fucking scrap. There's the F-bomb again. Like
You're good.
4 to 6 months, whatever. I don't even remember when I lost it. It just went away.
Interesting. What was the most mind-blowing moment for you, like when you were first getting started?
The
was
biggest
moment where you're like, oh shit, like it's crazy.
When I looked at some of my before and after pictures. Like I'm gonna bring up one. I know this is not gonna be super great quality because it's gonna come from my phone.
No, if y'all are on here, I mean, one, y'all better go follow this man right now. And two, when you do, you'll see the before and after pictures. It's super interesting. And it's crazy how much like your body can change, like again, not having touched a weight in 8-9 months. It's super interesting. And then looking at the comments, this video will be saved as soon as it's done. As soon as we're done recording, it should be on the YouTube channel. And then anyone listening on the podcast, obviously you found the podcast, but it will be up in podcast form in the next 2-3 weeks, most likely, but it'll be up on the YouTube channel as soon as we're done.
Okay. So I wanted to just show this one real quick. Again, I know it's not super great quality because it's coming from my phone, but that's on the left. That's when I was like maybe a month in. On the right was like maybe 2 weeks ago. And if you look, the biggest craziest changes, my butt is way bigger. My upper back is rounded as opposed to flat. If you tell anybody to do this is called the Hindu squat. So anybody do this, they're gonna look like thing on the left. Most likely they're going to look on the left. So I mean that's just one of them. It's crazy. This is the picture that I did. Like that's my lat. It goes into my pants.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at the anatomy of the lat, it attaches to the top of the tricep, like close to the humeral head that goes into the glenoid that creates the shoulder joint. It's like right below that. And it goes all the way down. It goes all the way down into your hip. And that's exactly where mine goes. But if you go all around Instagram, everybody's lats stop.
Why not do that?
Everyone's lats stop. They stop where their erectors start. And that's the biggest problem that we see with people. Everyone's erector dominant. Meaning,
what does that do?
Yeah, so the erectors are the erector spinae. They are muscles that run from the base of the skull on the back of the body all the way down your spine to the tailbone. It's all up and down. They're obviously very important. They keep the spine erect, hence the name. But they're not meant to be movers in the sense of they're not meant to stabilize everything and also be able to move and also do. Basically, the erectors are doing the lumbar erectors right behind your belly button. So if you put your hand on your belly button and then kind of go right behind that, you're going to feel two giant rods. Those rods are doing, everything. They're bending, they're twisting, they're side bending, they're extending. And we know this because when people's spines are flat, if you Google a spine, your spine ain't flat. It's curved. You know what I mean? It's meant to be curved. It needs to be curved. The thoracic cage needs to be kyphotic. Everyone is diagnosing people as kyphotic and lordotic, but we're naturally kyphotic and lordotic creatures. And what I mean by that is people say, oh my gosh, my upper back is too round, or oh my gosh, my lower back is too curved like this. Like we're naturally supposed to be that way, but just not obviously as exaggerated. So those findings they don't really hold much ground. What we found is that when we line up the pelvis and the rib cage, which is basically right here in the torso, you have your pelvis, you have your rib cage, and right below that you have your pelvis. When they're separated, like, how do I do this? Let's say this is the rib cage, this is the pelvis, right? When they're separated like this, they're broken. Let's say this is the front of my body. For some reason, it's reversed. I want it to like kind of mirror me, but you know what I'm saying? I'm going like this, but it's facing that way. When I'm this way, it's weird. Anyway, so pelvis and rib cage, when they're broken like this, the middle point is the low back that I'm talking about, those erectors. So you're doing this all day. When people breathe, they breathe into their front ribs down here, and that moves. It moves like this, and the body learns to breathe that way. And eventually the front ribs, they open. Your front ribs aren't supposed to be that big. If you put anybody on their back, their front ribs are going to probably pop up like that. You could poke them. So what that means is your back ribs are closing, right? They're closing shut, and they're not mobile, so they can't move anymore. Now, I'm going to go to TikTok real quick just so I can freeze a frame of one of my videos because I want to explain why this is important. We need mobile back ribs for the exact reason I'm about to show you. Okay, so let me wait for my head to move out the way. But the main reason is this right here. Oh, sorry. Before I showed this, tell me, where are your lungs?
What I mean, right? Like here. What's the answer to that?
No. Yeah, it's exactly.
Correct, right?
Yeah.
Am I missing something?
No. This is important. So can you do that again? Just like stand up and show people where your lungs are.
Like right here.
Yeah. But they're on the back of your body. So if we look at the anatomy of the lungs, right? They're way high up in your upper back. Look at that. They're right there next to your shoulder blades. So if your shoulder blades are squeezed back and down, your lungs can't expand posteriorly or to the back of your body, meaning your rib cage can't expand that way either. So what happens is your shoulder blades end up choking your upper back. So your upper back can't expand this way, so that your back ribs end up going like this. It all just flattens. And so you're forced to breathe into your front line, which is breaking your core stability. So if I'm not stacked up like this, if I'm breathing like this, where I'm constantly breaking, and that breaking point is my middle back / lower back, every time I inhale, I'm chest breathing, I'm further tightening my back ribs, which need to be actually expanding this way. We need to breathe this way to where I'm here. Can you see all that space in my upper back? How like open my upper back is? If I'm breathing, you shouldn't see any movement in the front here. So when I breathe, like this doesn't move because all that is going up into my upper back. And it's not like I'm hunched over like this. Like I'm tall. Like I'm up. You know what I mean? Like I'm up here and I'm open. So when I breathe, it all goes to my back. And my ribs don't do that. We don't want this. You know what I mean? We want this to be flat. I'm just blowing. I'm not engaging my core. I'm not squeezing my abs. I don't do that shit no more. That is not the way to create core stability. So now let's explain why all this is important. So we all know that core stability is important, but why? Why the hell do we care about core stability? The reason we care about core stability is it protects your spine, protects your lower back, and it prevents it from being mobile. We do not want mobile low backs. When you do a deadlift, what do you want moving? Your low back or your butt?
Not your low back.
Your butt.
Right. Your butt.
Yeah. If I was gonna squat to pick something up, or if I was gonna, here we go. If I was gonna put a basketball over my head and dunk it, do I want to extend through my hips and my upper back to get that space, or do I want to put it all on my lower back?
Definitely not your lower back. Definitely upper and hips.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if I'm that's biomechanics. That's what we're that's what we're improving. We're improving people's ability to produce force or jump and freaking yam a ball in a net or jump and set up a shot or create space through a crossover or a step back, or you're dribbling, or you're just running, dribbling a ball, or you're going for a layup. We're creating space for that to happen. If every time you want to move your hips, your lower back moves, you have a dependency. Now, the core stability is the first step to removing that dependency. So every time you try to produce force through your hips, your low back doesn't jump in. The reason people's low backs jump in is because their booties are weak. People got no hips, but they think they do, but they don't. That's the biggest problem. Imagine a Coke can that's unopened, pressurized, very strong. If you Google Coke can hydraulic presser or just Coke can presser, there's a video of an unopened Coke can. I think I can't remember the exact number, but it's somewhere between 500 kilograms and 600 kilograms of force that's pressed into the Coke can, and the Coke can is like barely moving. It's crazy. It starts like it's almost melting because it's just so damn strong. You could literally have a grown person, a grown man, woman, don't matter, step on a damn can and it ain't moving. Unopened.
Oh, yeah. No.
It's not going to move, right?
Yeah.
The moment you open that and hear that and the pressure's gone, it's going to crush. It's going to crush because it's weak. The structure is weak. That is very comparable to your rib cage and pelvis when it's stacked up and when it's not. So when you blow and you have that stability, obviously there's a lot more things that come into play with that, but I'm just giving a brief example. When you have that rib cage pelvis lineup, you have strength. And when we have this lineup, we've seen that everybody is kyphotic and everybody is lordotic, meaning they have this up top and this down low, because that's the way the spine is designed. I know that was a lot. Sorry.
I'm taking a second to digest that. I told you at the beginning, I knew I was going to learn a ton here. So I know you guys are finding value out of this. And I see your comments. I just wanted to let Karon run with that one because I know that was really important stuff. Is
there
super smart.
Thank you. Oh, there's the comments.
You found it?
I was on private chat. I was like, man, where do I see the comments? There we go.
We got all the comments here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We covered this. So it will be saved as a regular video. So yeah, y'all go back and watch this one like 3 times for sure. What's your opinion on this one? This question. What's your opinion on low top versus high top basketball shoes?
Yeah, good question. So we have to think about many, many different things when we're considering a shoe. One of the first things we have to think about is what's the person's capacity in terms of like what does their knee do, what does their hip do, what does their ankle do, and like together. You know what I mean? I don't look at things individually. I look at them how they play, together in space. So we look at things integrated before we isolate. Yeah. People are getting ankle mobility, but they're focused on their ankle and their knee. We're focused on ankle mobility in relation to the hip. So if you look at the structure of the hip into the femur, into the tibia and fibula, that lead into the lower leg, into the ankle, it's all a big structure. And we want the stuff up top and down low, meaning the hip and the ankle, to stabilize the knees. The knee don't got to move. Knee just stable. All the mobility is happening in the hip and the ankle, and at the knee, we're chilling. But we need to see what you can do before we decide what shoe you're going to wear, whether you're going to train barefoot, anything like that. If you have no capacity, if you can't do a hip hinge and you can't do, what we call Hindu squats, what I showed you, if you can't produce force in that medium and get your knees pretty far over your toes, like we need to be a bit more protective in the beginning. So for most people, obviously depending on the position, I would say medium to high top, in my experience, has been better for my ankles.
Interesting.
For those who have more capacity and have stronger ankles, where if their ankle goes into an end range of motion and it's not going to be damaged because there's a lot of things up the chain, that's going to absorb that load before the ankle takes the load. Then they can go into a medium / lower top shoe. But if they don't have a strong big toe, if they don't have strong glutes, if they don't have strong hamstrings that are long and can absorb when they land, they don't have glute medius or top butts that can go side to side and absorb force in those areas, they're most likely going to have a higher shoe just because their ankle ain't going to be ready for that motion. But if my ankle goes there, I'm good.
Yeah. And kind of building on that, on the topic of, I know this is a really commonly asked question, ankle braces. So when someone rolls their ankle, a lot of times when they try to come back to playing, they end up in an ankle brace. And then there's this school of thought, oh, don't wear ankle brace because then you're going to get stuck wearing one forever. Like, what's your overall position on that? Like, what would be your general recommendations based on what you know?
I love this question because I used to be in that category. I used to wear ankle braces all the time. I used to, like I said, I had jumper's knee. I had every single problem you could have. I had busted ankles on both sides because I would be scared to drive with my left foot leading. So I would go with my right foot, you know what I mean? Because my left foot would get, my left ankle would get rolled and sprained. I had like a grade 2 sprain just from playing pickup. And I had to be on crutches for like 3 weeks. So, as I slowly got back into it, clearly, obviously I didn't do anything. I re-injured again. That re-injury rate is very, very high. So we just got to be careful with that stuff. But anyway, when it comes to braces, they're obviously necessary because when you first injure something, it needs to be pressurized, and we need to keep the pressure on it, obviously, for all that good stuff. Maybe you got to go to emergency room, whatever. So we want to keep pressure on it for that long. But after that point, if you have the ability to do some kind of movement in it, you probably should. Obviously, if there's pain with it, don't do it. But the braces are a good temporary solution, but you can't rely on it. You have to start rehabbing and getting motion to that area. So I talked about this in a previous podcast, but there's an idea with how the brain sees joints in your body and what those joints have the capacity and capability to do. And that's called the sensory map cortex. Just think of it as a schematic, a blueprint of what the brain understands this joint can do. So obviously when you get injuries, you're not going to move that area of your body as much because your brain gives you pain, it gives you immobility and swelling and all that. So repairing can happen, and you're not further damaging the tissues, and stuff that's in that area. However, at a certain point, if you don't start moving that joint again in its normal ranges of motion, we start to get little black spots in that schematic, and the brain stops understanding how to move that ankle the same. It doesn't necessarily forget, but it's like wait, how do I do this again? It's like a short-term memory loss, if you will. Obviously, that depends on many different things, like injury history, like how long you've been training, how long you've been working that ankle, how many times you've injured it, development as a child. It all comes from literally when you're born to this day. All that input and all that stuff matters with how your brain sees joints, how you've lived, and how it understands what your joint can do. But anyway, let's say I sprain my ankle 8-9 times, and eventually I just kind of leave a brace on it forever. That's where a lot of people end up. You're not going to have any control over that ankle because there's way less motor units being recruited in the muscles surrounding that joint. So your brain has effectively lost communication with that area, and it effectively sees the ankle and the foot, especially if you're wearing a boot all the time or you have soles that are very high off the ground. It sees it as a brick, and there's very little functionality. You get someone like that and you put them on one foot, their foot's going to go like this. It's going to crinkle. It's going to be wobbly. It's going to crinkle because there's no stability. There's no strength. There's no stability. So we need to move it and we need to load it safely. And obviously, flowability is how we solve that. But so braces are short term, but we need to get training. We need to get moving. We got to rehab, and we can't rehab to the point where like, oh yeah, I can walk again. No, you need to be better than you were before. We need to be better than you were. Sorry, this fly all in my face. We need to be better than you were before, so you're not hurting yourself again, or at least you're decreasing the risk of re-injury. Because as we just discussed, the issue is not just the injury, but the issue is also re-injury.
Yeah, for sure. And something you mentioned there a few minutes ago was the idea of like, if you feel pain, you probably shouldn't do it. Like, what is that kind of threshold of like, 'cause I know some people are of the opinion of like, kind of pain is a little bit part of the, like, you can't just like stop at the first sign of pain. Like, what's your overall like recommendation there as far as like, where do you push to, and then where is kind of like that threshold where you're like, nah, I should probably dial this back, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So pain is very complex. The nervous system is very complex. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I understand the nervous system or pain fully or even partially. Yeah, no one does. And that's kind of the consensus. We just know enough to kind of just to help people, you know what I mean? Like, we know enough to get people on a good path and a good journey. And there's a lot of research going on about pain, about posture, which is doo-doo right now, which we're trying to step in and improve. Jordan is actually getting his PhD. So we're gonna be up in the lab, and I have plans to potentially get a PhD once my money is right, like, you know, maybe in 5-10 years down the road. Who knows? But right now we're just kind of just building. But anyway, so pain is this thing that is a mental response to when a threshold of, you know, issues, let's say, has been breached. So let's just say, for all intensive purposes, it's like a bucket, right? Mm-hmm. So you have, let's say you have a knee bucket, ankle bucket or shoulder bucket, whatever. At a certain point, that bucket starts overflowing. And when that overflow process happens, that's typically when we start to see some pain arise. That's like the most basic example. Okay. Now, there's a lot more complex examples where emotion and trauma are involved. And there's obviously acute injuries that can trigger pain as well. Pain is not just a physical. It is not a physical manifestation. So it's not just from an injury. Pain can also arise from emotional trauma. It can also arise from, mental dysfunction. There's a lot of different things that pain can come from. So that's why we can't say definitively, even for that bucket example, that's not the definitive reason why you feel pain. But to paint the picture, there's a story of a man who was working or doing something, and he basically stepped on a large nail. And, he was like, oh my gosh, it got in my foot. Oh, it hurts so much. Oh my God. So, it was rusty. So, maybe it was tetanus. So they took him to the hospital, sawed his boot off, and they stopped. And they were like, well, why'd they stop? Never pierced his skin. Didn't even touch him.
Oh shit.
It just went through the boot, and then didn't even touch him. But the anticipation of the pain was enough to sensitize his spinal cord to send a message back into that area with the anticipation of nociception, which is tissue damage. So he was convinced that he was going to feel pain to such a high degree, as most of us probably would, that his brain, his nervous system responded with protection. Because again, the nervous system has one job. You know this: survival, protection. That's it. It don't care if you want to play hoops. I'm sorry. It don't care if you want a six-pack. It don't care if you want anything. Your brain is literally there to protect you. That is the cold, harsh truth about the nervous system. It is there to protect you. So when it sees you being put in an area of danger or threat or anything like that, it is going to do everything in its power to get you out of that threat and out of that danger. That's why when people get hurt, there's immobility, because the brain doesn't trust you enough to give you range of motion or length of tissue, because it's afraid you're going to screw it up, essentially. And that's why it gives you pain sometimes, because it wants to get you out of that area that you're overusing. Yeah. Captain!
It wouldn't be a Coach K episode with Cap without Captain in the background.
Yeah, my man Captain.
I'm impressed you remembered his name.
Oh, of course, bro. How could I forget? I am the captain. That's
essentially what he's saying.
That's what I imagine he's saying when he barks like that. Anyway, so he was anticipating the pain enough that he just made it up. And, you know, that happens a lot. You know, you think about if you're conditioned to believe that pain is going to arise from a certain motion, it's going to happen. Yeah. So another example I use. So imagine for 15 years, you lived in the same house, had an electric stove. When it's really hot, it's bright red. Maybe when you were like 5, you put your hand on the stove and like, oh my gosh, ow, that really hurt. Oh my gosh. The stove's super hot. It's on. But now let's say, you know, it's like year 16 and you didn't know, but the stove is broken, but there's a little troll in there with a red flashlight waiting for you to accidentally put your hand on the stove again. So, you know, you're just chilling out with your friends, maybe having a little party, and then your hand's on the stove, it's off, but the troll's under there with the red flashlight, and someone goes, oh my gosh, look, Danny, look, oh my gosh. Oh, okay, I'm good. That's going to be the response. You're gonna pull away, maybe feel pain or what you think is pain, because you've been conditioned to believe that red light on stove equal pain. So brain is like, yo, get the hell out of there. And that's that's another reason why we have the nervous system. It's to protect us.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, obviously this might be on the scope of this podcast, but like even with like the digestive system too, like some people think like, oh, I eat this food, I'm gonna feel like crap. And it's like you start to think like there's definitely a psychological component to that.
Bro, placebo. It's in studies, it's in the research. Placebo.
Yeah, like I know like I've always had a sensitive stomach since like high school, and like there's certain foods that like I know usually give me issues. But like every once in a while there'll be a time where like I don't realize that I had that food, and like I don't even realize it. And then like after I realize it, after I've already eaten it, maybe it's been like 20 minutes, I'm like totally fine. I realize it, and then like I feel bloated, or I'm like, oh crap, like I'm screwed now. But yeah, it's super interesting. Like there's still so much we don't know about pain in general.
Yeah. It's definitely a real thing. I'm not going to sit here and say you can like think your pain away at all. It's definitely a real thing. Just like invincible. Yeah, right. Just in some of these extreme examples, you know, it sort of complicates the sort of general consensus of what most people think pain is. People think that, you know, I poke sharp object, I feel pain because I poke sharp object. But you feel pain because you poke sharp object because brain says, yo, that's dangerous. It's a mental response. It's not a physical sensation. You know, it's a mental response of alert and detection and pulling away from that alert via detection.
Mm-hmm. Got you. So now at the last like 15, 20 minutes here, I kind of want to dive into, we've kind of discussed this already to some extent, but in terms of Flowbility's application specifically to basketball, like what are some things that players who maybe adopt this modality could expect in terms of like improvements in their game, or like how would it translate to results on the court? Versus something like traditional training that you would see all over the internet.
Yeah. So okay, this is going to burst a lot of bubbles, but I'm just keep it real. Most mobility, most weight training is going to make you worse. But at the same time, you don't need to have good posture to be a good basketball player. I don't like to harp on anyone in particular. LeBron is incredibly powerful. He's the best, if not ever. And he produces force like nobody's business because his central nervous system is incredibly powerful. He has a CNS like we've never seen before, and that's what separates him in part. Obviously, his work ethic is incredible, but his CNS is so powerful that when he starts to produce force, his body's ready. But you see him walk, you see him lift, it doesn't look great. He does not have good structure, does not have good posture. But that does not mean he ain't strong. Doesn't mean he can't do stuff. But for the vast majority of us, we ain't like that. We don't have that central nervous system. So Flowbility is going to, I got to be careful with this. It's going to directly impact your biomechanics in the sense that you're going to run better. You're going to shoot better in terms of how you get to the shot, what's actually shooting. And you're going to be more decompressed. So you're going to be longer. I'm working with a UFC fighter right now. His name is Kamaworthy. Right now he's 2-0 in the UFC. I think he's on a 7-win streak overall. He's a incredible guy, incredible work ethic. We work weekly. It's been over a year now. Guy's a beast. One of the biggest things he told me that he's had access to is more reach. So he's able to get his arm out more in front of him, which is incredibly crucial for a jab or a cross. I mean, you look at his last win. Actually, I think I have it. There's a piece of it where he got a really sick cross. I'm going to show you right now. Holy crap. Just look at that length, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that length.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His fist is completely turned over. His scapula is completely forward, or his shoulder blade is forward, away from his spine. Like, see how open his upper back is?
Oh,
like that's what I'm saying. Do you think he's going to be able to punch that guy in the face if his shoulder blades are squeezed back like that?
Nah.
And for you basketball players, when you're getting into a shot, you'd ideally want to see upward rotation of your scapula through your serratus. Your serratus, which is this muscle here, I can't show you, but just look up serratus. And can I put a comment down? Can I say something? Can I type?
Probably, yeah, I think so.
How do I do that? Host and okay, here we go.
Yeah, there you go.
So that muscle, I don't know if they saw that, but that muscle is going to help incredibly, like a lot. My vocab is screwed up for a second. But as you get up, we want to see that upper rotation through your scapula, through the serratus, so that when you're setting up that shot, you're stable here and your force is coming from all this as opposed to your elbow and your wrist. Like it shouldn't all be coming. It should be a transfer of force as opposed to a production of force. So we're going to help you not overuse this stuff and use more of, oops, I stepped on my headphone, and use more of this stuff. So your serratus, your lats, all your posterior or back of the shoulder muscles are going to help so that when you shoot, you're going to be just ready to fire. You're going to be, and when you're dribbling, you're going to have way more width up here. You're not going to be like this. Like you're going to actually be able to get your arm out because you're going to be able to stretch and get that. And you won't have to think about it. Obviously, that takes time. Like I said, the residual change takes time, but you're going to be so much more powerful, lighter on your feet. Your knees are going to feel better because your hips are working. There's so many different reasons why. I mean, if anyone wants more information on this, please just reach out to me. I'll answer questions. And I'm going to give your audience some good deals at the end. But honestly, for any, I mean, obviously basketball is kind of contact, but not really. For any non-contact sport,
less and less.
Right. For any non-contact sport, obviously UFC is very contact, but for any non-contact sport, flowability is going to be the best thing for your body, period. And if you really invest in it and you fall in love with the system, you're going to feel like a whole new different person.
For sure. Now, how about like the integration with things like conditioning and like being in that sort of shape too? So I like logically, like when I'm looking at it just from the outside, I could see how you can kind of swap it out for weight training or typical performance training. But how about on the conditioning side of things? So, I mean, for basketball, obviously, as you know, you got to be in pretty good shape to be able to last in game. Is that incorporated into like the programming that you guys do, or is it more so like just knowing how to integrate that in a smart way, kind of on your own? Like, how would you go about implementing that correctly?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, a lot of our system is based upon breath work and breathing. So improving your cardiorespiratory efficiency, or basically how your body transports nutrients through breathing, taking in more air, expelling more air. That process is going to obviously impact, like I said, how your body intakes oxygen, expels carbon dioxide, how it transports nutrients throughout your body into your muscles, etc. So that is going to have a big carryover effect in your performance. But in general, we have a lot of sprinting in our training. We highly encourage people to do things like shadow boxing, light cardio, jump rope. We don't have like okay, you're gonna run for a minute, do 10 jumping. Like we don't have any conditioning per se, because that's not what we focus on. But there will be impacts. I mean, I can tell you personally, I've had. Obviously, it's an anecdote that I don't have data yet to support this, but this is speaking from myself and my clients. We've all seen cardio go up as well.
Got you. Let's see if I missed any questions in the comments. Want to make sure.
Yeah, there's a bunch. I didn't even.
Man's vocabulary is on another level.
What is cadodic? Here's some questions. Insanity is basically a program by Sean T. Don't worry about it. You don't want to do it. Here's another one from Matthew Ying. As hoopers, should we do tap dancing? Because when studying Kobe in interview, he said he did tap dancing over the summer. In 2001, Jim was in the finals. Interesting. So ballet is one of the, speaking of dance, is one of the most difficult sports, period. It's all core. It's all freaking core, balance and stability. It's incredibly amazing for you. So flexibility plus ballet equals you're a beast. So if y'all Google Robert ballet dancer, you're going to see just a work of masterpiece. That dude his posture is incredible. Yeah. Let's see.
Gotcha. I think that was the last question that we got, because we got the low top versus high top shoes, and then this will be a good question. When we wrap up, we'll go over that and point everyone in the right direction there.
Cool.
And then as we start to wrap up, let me know if y'all have any last questions you want me to answer. But kind of getting into that question of what is the first step. Like more so conceptually, we'll direct everyone where they need to go as soon as we're wrapping up. But more so conceptually, like what is the first step in terms of starting on this path?
Yeah, learning how to breathe, man. Just learning how to breathe. Just like I said, this stuff is real change and adaptation. People can't just walk in day one doing this. Like they're not gonna be able to do this.
Yeah.
They're not, because this took months. You know what I mean? All this tissue is open. I mean, there's still a lot of tightness in there. But when I started, my reach was like this. I couldn't, because I was so used to rowing and squatting and benching and keeping my shoulder blades down and back for my entire life. To now ask them to do this is hard. And people think I'm rounding my shoulders, like I'm getting smaller. But nah, bro, I'm tall. Like I'm tall, I'm up here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not smaller. I'm longer. Like I'm up. When my shoulders are down and back, I'm actually smaller here. And my ribs go forward. So we learn how to create openness up here, and we change the hips, and then we breathe all up here where I showed you the lungs were in that TikTok. So a big piece of it is just learning how to breathe better, and learning how to really feel your core. So I've been doing this on podcasts, and I want Tommy to participate. So Tommy, while I coach you through this, you might want to mute your mic, because it's going to be really loud. It's going to be a lot of blowing.
My balance is like, what the hell's going on in there? I got you.
All right. So what I want you to do, I want you to take a big inhale through your nose as much as you can. Keep breathing. Keep inhaling. When you exhale, you're going to act like you're blowing through a straw and try to get your breath into the computer screen. So keep exhaling. Anyone at home can try this too. Keep exhaling. You're going to start feeling your core light up, like right around your belly button. Keep going until you're completely empty. And when you're empty, blow some more. Even though you don't feel anything coming out, keep exhaling. It's going to really start tightening up down there. Good. Now take another big inhale. Inhale. Blow. It should sound like air in a tire. Keep exhaling. When you're empty, shake your head yes. Okay, Tommy got some lungs. Okay, take a tiny inhale through your nose. Blow hard. It should get even tighter and tighter and tighter down there. Can you feel that? All right, you can unmute yourself. So,
all right, yeah.
How was that? Just tell everybody.
It was interesting. It was interesting. It was. I don't really know how to describe what it felt like, but I definitely felt it tightening up. Like as I started breathing out, I had a lot more air than I thought I did.
Yeah,
like blowing out. So that's good. At least I got some decent lungs. But that was interesting. What was that like? What was I supposed to feel like when I was doing that? I know I definitely felt
exactly what you said. So that tension you felt like kind of below your belly button. That's called your transverse abdominis contracting.
Yeah.
So, we've seen all over Instagram people talk about, TVA training. We're going to rotate. We're going to do paddle off press. We're going to do all these motions for core stability. All terrible. It don't work. None of that shit works. What you just did is the best way to train your TVA. Because if you think about the striations of the TVA, they're like this. The transverse abdominis is obviously in the transverse plane. And it wraps around your torso. It goes from the xiphoid process, which is the bottom of the sternum, and it wraps around into the whole, obviously frontal, lateral, and not posterior all the way, but semi-posterior or back of the body, torso area. So it just wraps all that shit, and it's a big weight belt. When you exhale, so when you were inhaling right there, you felt expansion, and when you exhale, it goes. And it wraps. It gets tighter. So your waist actually got smaller during that exhale there. So real quick, I know we got to go soon, but I want to show you.
I'm good. I don't know if you're in a rush.
I mean, no, I'm good.
Cool.
I mean, I love this shit, so I can do it all day. But I want to show you that this is what I call a breathing PR. Because I'm breathing, but you can't tell. Let me try and get that. So listen. So right there, I'm inhaling.
Yeah.
But my front ain't moving. Yeah. And I just exhaled. And if I didn't tell you I was breathing, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that's the whole idea. And you can see how small my waist is in that. Now, this is one of my clients before and afters. If you look at her waist in the beginning, I wanted to show you that beginning clip real quick. Watch when she exhales. You see her waist on the right?
Mm-hmm.
And then her waist on the left is much different. So watch when she exhales initially. Oops. Right. No, that's boxing. No. I want to get that.
Yeah.
Can you see how much smaller her waist is? That's TVA wrapping, and that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Also, by the way, if anyone's listening on the podcast, you don't know what's going on right now, go to the YouTube channel. Trust me, like this is one that you're definitely gonna want to watch on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, you see it right here too.
Yeah.
You see how much smaller her waist is. It's like it's crazy. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I mean, here's another one that kind of paints the picture pretty well too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely noticeable.
Yeah. So I mean that's strength. You can't cue that shit. That's the biggest difference, man. Everyone's cueing people into postures and into poses, but we're creating strength, and then that's the biggest difference.
Interesting. Yeah. No, you've definitely got me intrigued. It's super interesting. I'm definitely gonna look into this. But you may have just sold me. We'll see. But no, I like I said, I definitely learned a ton. Now, as we wrap it up, though, I'm curious. I know you've been on TikTok. As we all know, TikTok is a very interesting place sometimes. So to share with us some of the funny comments you've gotten on some of your posts.
The funniest one I've gotten. There's a couple of them. So some people have, you know how you can do duets and you can like react to videos.
Oh yeah. I remember you telling me about this.
Yeah. So someone put a duet, and it's just him staring at the camera like this, and he goes, "Me at 4 a.m. while I'm trying to poop," and it's me like doing my reaching and my blowing, and I'm poking my butt. I think I can actually show you.
Yeah. Please do.
It's kind of far. Let me see.
Nah, yeah. If you can't find it, no worries about
it. Yeah. It's a little deep. But anyway, yeah. So that was a funny one. I got another one where I actually showed that breathing one, and I got like 2 comments like saying, "Don't care, don't care." And I'm like, "Yo, thanks for the comment. You helping me on the algorithm."
Hey, yeah, bro. It's engagement, man. For sure.
Thank you. Appreciate you, bro.
For sure. The ones that always had me dying. I haven't been on TikTok in forever, but when I was on there more often, I'd see your posts, and like every once in a while people will comment like cake or like the cake emoji, especially when you're doing like, the Hindu squat and like those other ones.
Yeah.
So it's like it was dying.
It's so funny, bro. Everyone's looking at my butt.
It's hilarious. I mean, it's a smart content strategy, if we're being honest.
Yeah. Hey, do what you gotta do.
But dude, like I said, I learned a ton. I mean, just in this hour alone, I know everyone else did as well. I know a couple people commented like they're gonna go back and watch this again, because I definitely agree. Like you should watch this a couple times to really digest the information. But as we're wrapping up now, where's the best place to keep up with you, get started with Flowbility if someone is interested and wants to kind of take that next step? Where should they go?
Yeah. So first step. You can follow me on Instagram at Flowbility. Sorry, no, that's Jordan's page. At Coach Kronic, CoachKronic. And you should also follow Jordan on Instagram at Flowbility. He's the man that taught me all this shit. So he's the man. He's the guy. Now I have a few offers for your audience. One is a discount on our app. It's a comprehensive training program that automatically cycles you through different stages that have different priorities to help you get a lot of the stuff that we're doing. It'll also give you access to our private Facebook group where I'll be there. We have some pretty cool people in there, some new people that just joined that I can't say, but it's kind of wild. I might tell you off air, but
okay.
But anyway, yeah, so we have that, and I comment on every video you post, or Matt will. He's another guy on our team who will comment on all of your videos, so you'll have constant support, even if you don't have a coach. We do offer online virtual training. I can give you that link as well. And finally, if money's a bit tight, I know it's a pandemic, and Corona's going on, everybody's inside, jobs are tough, money's tight. We have a free series going around. It's the mini series. It's just flowbility.com/miniseries. So I'll type that in right now. I'll just type in everything real quick. So this is the free mini series, and then we got.
Oh, you're going in the private chat.
Oh, I can't put it anything else, I don't think.
Okay, let me see. I'll copy it over. So we got the mini series in the comments, and then what's the other? Go ahead and type in the private chat. I'll copy it over.
Cool beans. So here's the discount code. Just KH50, and that'll get you 50% off the initiation fee on the app. I highly recommend the app. The mini series is only 5% of our program. It's 5%. The app is very affordable. Just go in there, check it out. If you really vibe with this shit, like it's gonna be worth it. And like I said, you'll get access to me through the group, so it'll be huge. Then finally, for online training. Where you can request me personally, flowbility.com/VPT. And that's everything.
Perfect. Well, Coach K, Karon, Coach Kronic, whatever we're going to go by today. I appreciate you stopping by. As always, it's a great time having you on the show. It has been way too long. And we'll definitely have to do a round 2 because I feel like there's still a ton of stuff that we haven't dove into yet that I think could benefit a lot of people listening. And I know everyone that was live right now for the past hour definitely got a lot of value out of it, a lot of engagement here. So I appreciate you stopping by and sharing what you know.
Absolutely, man. I want to say one more thing. If you got tight ass hamstrings, do Flowbility.
I think that's just about every person, honestly. I know.
Just saying.
my hamstrings have been chronically tight for I don't even know how long at this point. So you got me convinced. So I'll definitely check it out.
Oh, look who's this. Martin Vicente. Hi guys.
What's up, man? You joined at the very end. Good thing is though, you'll be able to go back and watch this as many times as you like. It should be up It should be up as soon as we end it right now. It might take a minute or two to process, but it should be up within the next like 5 minutes, literally, if you have this link. And then, like I said, for those of you listening on the podcast, if you want to watch the video version, it's on YouTube. And also, if you want to watch these interviews like live or 2 weeks ahead of time, because you want to watch them earlier than when they get released on podcast, go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. And then again, if you haven't yet, you guys here on YouTube and the podcast, hoopsquiz.com. Put up the URL right now so y'all see it. Take like 2 minutes and it'll help you get started as far as like nutrition and stuff like that as a basketball player. Figure out where you're messing up right now, because odds are you're probably messing up somewhere even if you don't realize it. So take the quiz, figure it out, get free 3-day video series as well, helping get you started, access to the Facebook group, all that good stuff. And yeah, with that, I think we're done here. So Karon, again, I appreciate you stopping by, and we'll definitely have to do it again.
Sweet, bro. Hey, man, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun as always.